Alright, I'm going to go through how I wired in my fans for my F2k swap. It's pretty straightforward, but I tend to overthink things, and I looked into it way too much. So ultimately, what it is on the S2000, the AC and radiator relays are linked, from what I get. I don't have to worry about that. There's no AC in this car. So basically what I had to search for was what signal the computer is sending, whether it's a 12 volt or ground signal, to activate a relay. So I went through the wiring from the manual, found that it's a switch ground. So with that, I found the pin, and I basically, you found it in the manual, service manual, but it's also in the AEM management paperwork, which is what came with my AEMv2. So that's what I'm on now. So if we look, it's pin A20, radiator fan control. So with that, I found the pin on my AEM, which I have mounted down here on my electrical panel. It's a little bit of a mess, but I have everything labeled. So it goes into a distribution strip, and you can see that. So basically that's a switch ground. So those two wires are feeding two relays, which are feeding both of my fans. So relay 1 and 2. So that ground is going to the ground side of the coil. And up here is a 12 volt power supply distribution block, which populates all of this. This is my 12 volt switch panel, and both relays are getting the switch 12 volts to the relay side. So when the ECU sends in ground, it's going to pull that in and latch in. And then this thicker gauge wire here is my 12 volts out. And both of those sources are through this 10 gauge thicker green wire, which are fused. But that's ultimately what I needed from the computer to get my fans on. So A20 is your pin, and this is basically if anybody sticks a F20 or an F22 in another chassis. I mean, like I said, it's pretty straightforward. It's just a fan, turning the fans on. But yeah, A20. That's how I populated it from my ECU. And then I will go through how to activate it on AEM Tuner. So if you go up to Tools, sorry, there's a glare from the light, my bad. Tools, configure outputs. And then if you go down to LS8, which is radiator fan 1, basically that's all you need to play with. But here's your temps. So right now, all I have to do is change this value to 0 and my fans will turn on. That's it. Alright, change the value back to 180. Off. Relay switched off. Yep. So if anybody's doing an F2k or F2022 in another chassis, that's all you need. Well, it's how I chose to do it, but I think it's probably the easiest is just take A20, which is a switch ground, go through your relays, and then you got pretty steady, consistent 12 volt to your fans. I'm running 2 Mishimotos. I didn't check the current. I didn't check to see what current they pull, but I'm sure it's not very much. But I'm pretty sure I have the appropriate fuse in line, and then my wiring's thick enough. So cheers.